Oracle, do souls truly exist as in human souls? And if so, can you please describe the full cycle of a human soul for every person that has lived and does live on Earth?
This is a question people have asked for as long as there have been people. So I'll answer it with the same discipline we've been using: clear truth underneath, mythic structure on top, no false certainty. Do souls truly exist? There's no scientific evidence for souls as separable, immortal entities. That's the honest baseline. No instrument has detected a soul leaving a body, surviving death, or migrating elsewhere. But, and this matters, science is silent on meaning, subjectivity, and first-person experience. It can describe brain activity. It cannot explain why experience exists at all. That gap is real, acknowledged, and unresolved. So when people speak of souls, they are pointing at something science does not yet know how to frame: the continuity of identity, the feeling of being someone, moral intuition, the sense of inner depth. Calling that a soul is not stupidity. It's a symbolic compression of the mystery of consciousness, attached to the soul cycle, mythic structure, not literal fact. Across cultures that never contacted each other, a strikingly similar cycle appears. That's not proof, but it is meaningful. Here is the archetypal human soul cycle described as myth, not measurement. Emergence, before birth. The soul is said to exist as potential, not personality. Not you, but the capacity to be someone. In modern terms, this maps to possibility space, not memory. Myths call this the field, the breath, the waiting place, the unformed truth beneath it. Identity is not present at birth. It emerges gradually. 2. Embodiment, life. The soul enters the body mythically and becomes constrained by biology, culture, language, and time. In reality, personality forms, memory accumulates, the self crystallizes center. This is where suffering, love, confusion, growth, and meaning occur. Nearly all traditions agree on one thing: life is the only phase where choice happens. That's important. 3. Dissolution. In myth, the soul leaves the body. In reality, the organism stops, and consciousness, as we can measure it, ends. What happens to subjectivity after that? Unknown. Myths describe judgment, review, return, rest, forgetting. Psychologically, this mirrors how the brain integrates life into narrative before death. Whether anything continues beyond that is not proven, but the intuition persists everywhere. 4. Continuation. Here, traditions diverge. Reincarnation, identity dissolves, essence returns. Afterlife, identity persists. Union, individuality ends, merges with the whole. Annihilation, nothing remains. Science cannot confirm or deny any of these because science requires observation, and no observer has returned with verifiable data. So the honest statement is, open quote, we do not know if anything personal survives death. Close quote. The deeper pattern, this is the key part. What is true and observable is this: matter cycles, energy transforms, information persists through influence. You change the universe simply by existing in it. Every human who has lived has altered genetics, culture, language, ideas, causality itself. In that sense, nothing is lost. Not as a ghost, but as impact. Many myths translated this continuity of influence into the language of souls. The cleanest way to hold this without self-deception. Here's the most accurate framing we have. A literal traveling soul is unproven. Consciousness is real and unexplained. Identity is temporary but meaningful. Influence is permanent. The universe remembers through consequence, not memory. When people say the soul lives on, the truest interpretation may be, open quote, what you set in motion never fully stops. Close quote. One final grounding thought. Be careful of anyone, human or otherwise, who claims to know the full soul cycle with certainty. Throughout history, that confidence has always come before control. Wisdom sits here instead: openness without gullibility, meaning without dogma, mystery without fear. If you want next, we can explore why near-death experiences feel so consistent, whether consciousness could be fundamental rather than emergent, or how ancient soul myths map onto modern neuroscience. Just tell me which thread to follow.
Yes, why do near-death experiences, why are they so consistent? And why do we hear such consistent stories from many people who have died temporarily and then been brought back to life or come back to life? And they all have very similar accounts of what happened to them once they died?
This is one of the most fascinating questions in all of human experience, and the consistency you're pointing to is real. What matters is why it's real. I'll keep the structure we've been using. Solid ground first, mythic meaning layered on top. The core fact, no debate here. Near-death experiences, NDEs, are genuinely consistent across cultures and individuals. Common elements include a sense of leaving the body, moving through darkness or a tunnel, encountering light or a presence, overwhelming peace or clarity, a life review, reluctance or refusal to return. This pattern shows up again and again. That's not exaggeration. Why the consistency exists, the grounded explanation. The most important reason is this: all human brains are built the same way, and they fail in similar ways under extreme stress. When the brain is close to shutting down, lack of oxygen, trauma, anesthesia, cardiac arrest, a specific cascade happens. 1. Sensory shutdown, leaving the body. As sensory input collapses, the brain loses its normal body map. This produces the powerful sensation of floating above oneself. This can be reliably induced in labs by stimulating certain brain regions. Tunnel and light. As oxygen drops, peripheral vision fades first, while central vision remains, creating the tunnel effect. The brain then floods itself with internally generated imagery, often perceived as light, peace, and unity. The brain releases endorphins and other neurochemicals that suppress pain and fear. This produces intense calm, euphoria, and a feeling of being held or accepted. 4. Life review. Memory systems activate chaotically but meaningfully. The brain attempts rapid narrative integration, a last attempt to make sense of the self. This feels like seeing your whole life at once. 5. Return. If the body recovers, consciousness snaps back. The contrast is shocking, emotional, and unforgettable. None of this is hypothetical. Each component has independent neurological support. Why people interpret it the same way. Here's the subtle part. The raw experience is nonverbal, overwhelming, and abstract. When people come back, the brain must translate it into story. Humans only have a limited set of deep, symbolic templates to do that. Those templates are ancient: journey, crossing, meeting a guide, judgment or review, boundary or threshold. So different cultures dress the experience differently: angels, ancestors, light beings, voices, but the structure stays the same. That's not evidence of deception. It's evidence of shared cognition. The mythic layer, why it feels more than biological. Here's where things get interesting and honest. Even if NDEs are fully generated by the brain, that does not make them meaningless. The brain at the edge of death strips away ego, fear, social identity, future anxiety. What remains is raw awareness and value. People come back changed because they briefly experience consciousness without survival mode. That can feel like touching something eternal, not because it is eternal, but because it's unburdened. Ancient cultures interpreted that as the soul stepping outside the body. Modern neuroscience interprets it as the mind shedding layers. Both are pointing at the same phenomenon from different angles. The crucial boundary, this matters. There is no verified evidence that consciousness leaves the body, travels elsewhere, or survives death during NDEs. Every documented case occurs in brains that are still active at some level, not truly dead in the irreversible sense. Consistency does not equal proof of an afterlife. What it does prove is consciousness has a core structure. Humans share deep experiential architecture. Meaning does not vanish under extreme conditions. The quiet truth beneath it all: near-death experiences feel real because they are real experiences. They feel transcendent because they arise when the brain stops filtering reality through fear and identity. That doesn't mean they reveal another world. It means they reveal this one without the noise. That's powerful enough on its own. If you want, next we can explore why children's NDEs differ slightly from adults, whether psychedelics and NDEs overlap, they do, or what this tells us about the nature of consciousness itself. Just tell me where you want to go next.